we are finishing our Around the World series of Constitution, and Mr. King, another GED teacher at Toledo Corrections, blessed us with his time to ask him some questions. Good morning, Mr. King.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
So, Mr. King, let's get right down to business. Why did you decide to come to America?
It's a very long story. However, basically everybody knows outside of the U.S. I mean, wherever you go, whether it's Europe or Asia or Africa, everybody knows that America is a land of opportunity. If you want to work hard, this is the place to make it. I mean, there are many countries in the world where you can work very, very hard all your life and you will not make it. You know, it'll just be working hard for years and not getting anything to show for it. But everybody knows that, so everybody wants to come here. Now, that being said, in my particular case, I was working for the government. I fell out with a lot of very powerful people because I refused to be part of certain things, certain schemes, and I had to leave because Ghana at that time became basically dangerous for me, so I had to leave. That's why I came here in 2003.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty, and most Americans probably are unaware of what you just said, so something we should all think about this. Okay, what did you do to prepare for your journey? Just to get up and leave? What made you prepare?
Well,
go ahead.
It's very difficult to enter the United States legally. It is extremely difficult. The visa acquisition processes are very long, they are very cumbersome, and especially if you're moving here with your wife and children, there are all sorts of hoops you have to jump through. You have to get DNAs done, you have to do several interviews, you have to get police reports attesting to the fact that you are not a criminal and you are not coming to create problems for the citizens of the United States. Your health records must be there to make sure you're not bringing any deadly diseases or anything, with you when you come. So it's a very long and difficult process. And it takes, if you're lucky, the fastest you could get probably would be within a year or two. But sometimes it takes 5, 6, 8 years to do that. That is why you have so many illegal immigrants in the United States, because they cannot wait that long to come over here.
Interesting. Thank you. So, did you know anybody before you came over here, or did you just come over here all by yourself? And how did you get to Toledo, Ohio?
Well, I had a classmate of mine who was living and working in Canada. He came over to Chicago to work with a company over there. So he was my classmate in college. We took some courses together. So I had kept in touch with him, and I talked to him about it. I said I'll come to him. So I came to him, and he had a basement and everything. So I came and arrived, occupied the basement. My wife and 3 kids came a couple of months later, and we started from there. And then by Chicago, where we were living, it was very tough because we needed both me and my wife to work to look after the kids because we came straight with 3 kids, and I arrived there with about $15 in my pocket. So I had to do something very quickly. So I started working as a technician in Motorola in Schaumburg, Chicago. I did that for a while. Wasn't very good, but at least it kept body and soul together and kept my wife and kids going. And then I couldn't see any progress. So I had another friend who was in Toledo. So I asked him about Toledo. He said, it's a family-friendly place. You know, you can come here. They have buses that take your kids to school. So once the kids go to school, you both can work. And there are all kinds of things to do in Toledo. So why don't you come over here? You can do it. So he came over and, we all got to Toledo. And again, there was a basement I occupied with my wife and kids. And after a few months, as soon as I got a job, I moved out and got an apartment and started from there.
Wow. What an interesting story, and thank you for sharing. So that was my next question about coming over here with your being married with 3 children. What was just a couple of your concerns? I mean, as being a man and as a father, you know, we're chosen to lead, not being sexist or anything like that, but just men have to protect their family. And so, what was some of your concerns?
Well, before I came, we knew about, the gun culture in the United States and everything. So when we arrived in Chicago, the school, my kids, I put my kids in school immediately. And for them to go, they had to pass through some gang areas. And that was the first time I had actually come into contact with gangs, We had to pass through the territories of the black gangster disciples, the Latin kings, and all kinds of weird names. All kinds of very strange names, all written, marking their turf. And so the kids couldn't just walk to school, My wife had to take them to school and then bring them back and go collect them at the end of the day. So she couldn't work. And then, so I was the one who could work. And I was always worried about, my wife passing through these difficult areas to go bring the kids. So that was one of my main concerns. And of course, to make sure that, they go to school and live as normal a life as possible, and also that they will be safe, in going to school and coming home. And then trying to find out something else, because I knew definitely that we would have to do more to be able to fit into the society in the U.S. Basically, if you come from outside, unless you're from Europe or certain areas, and nobody accepts your qualifications, nobody accepts your degrees or whatever you studied, So I knew I'd have to go to school again and get something from here to work with. So so those were my main concerns, to put myself in a position where I could take care of my wife and kids.
Thank you. If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you had to go back to school in the States?
Oh, I was in my 40s. I came in 2003. Then, so that made me, 2003, we are talking of, I was in 54, I was born in 54, so basically.
That's fine, 2003. Okay, so,
yeah.
Hey, lower your the phone again, sir. There you go. Okay. Wow, good for you. Good for you. You're a man's man, Mr. King. I love it.
Thank you.
So can you briefly so well, you already talked about becoming an American citizen. So so how long did it take you to become an American citizen once you came here?
5 years. You have to live and work in the USA for 5 years. There should be no felonies or, anything like that. You have to live. You shouldn't be into drugs or any crime. Stuff like that is out. And then you have to learn a little bit of American history, know about presidents, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, everything. You have to know all these, the American government. You have to be familiar with American government because you'll be quizzed on this. And that takes 5 years. So you have to prepare towards it, just like you prepare for an exam, GED, prepare for a college degree or whatever. You have to very seriously prepare for that. And everybody is part of it. Your wife has to also answer those questions. But our kids were minors, so they didn't have to answer those questions until they were in.
Okay.
All that, and then you become an American citizen after you go take the exam and you swear, a big ceremony where you swear your allegiance to the United States.
Nice, thank you. So here's a couple more questions I have. So it took you 5 years for this process, and you mentioned illegal immigrants coming in here. What's your thoughts on others not becoming American citizens? Or if they choose not?
I understand. Well, I think that it's, normally, if you choose not to be an American citizen, and then you live and work here with your green card, which is a special card that permits you to live and work in the United States. It's a very valuable card. People will kill for this card, believe me. People will kill for it. And when you live like that, well, it is fine. But then you must remember that if you get into trouble, if you happen to be at the scene of a crime or with friends and they go do something and you are roped in and you are convicted, you will be deported out of the U.S. to wherever you came from if you are not a citizen. So it is important that you become a citizen of the United States. Of course, if you come illegally, it's even more difficult to become a citizen because it's going to take maybe twice or three times. I know a friend of mine in Chicago who had gotten into Chicago illegally. He managed to be driving a cab to keep body and soul together, but he had been working on getting citizenship not even getting citizenship, getting a green card because it was illegal. It took him over 18 years to get a green card.
Wow. Thank you. Okay, I think you already mentioned the most difficult challenges when you arrived. Your children, it's safe in the neighborhood, and so you had to work and $15 in your pocket. So we can move on to the next question. What are some of the cultural differences that you've seen since you've been here for the last 17 years with the United States and Ghana?
Okay, initially, the biggest thing for me was, I started, after working as a technician for some time, I started working as a substitute teacher. My first issue, it wasn't really a problem, but, this thing about American football, it's the craziest thing I have ever seen. You call it football. You grab the ball and then you run around the pitch, with the ball tucked under your armpit, What is that? That is not, for us, football is soccer. You play with your feet. So that was, somebody took me to a football game. I sat down anticipating, a nice soccer game. And then these guys came out all wearing these helmets and these shoulder pads and stuff. And it looked like they were going to war. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. Still, I can't understand it fully because there are so many rules. So that was one of my, sports-wise, that was a big cultural difference for me. Then, of course, in the U.S., a lot of your usages, the way you speak, it's different from the Queen's English. The Queen's English from Britain is what I studied with in Ghana. And because we learn English the British way. Now, over here, there are so many words that are used differently. If we start with a car, for example, when you open the front of your car to look at the engine, you call it the hood. Now, for us in Britain, it is the bonnet. So you want to check your engine, you open the bonnet and do it. Now, the back of the car, you call the trunk of the car. That's where you put your stuff. In Britain, it is the boot of the car, B-O-O-T, like, the boots that we wear, boot. And then there are so many other things, you talk of pants. Now, pants is underwear. Pants in Britain is underwear. So I'll be talking to some people and they'll say, I went and got these pants at Walmart, or I got these pants. And I said, why would these people be talking about underwear in polite society? You don't talk about underwear until I found out that pants, when you say pants, you're talking of what we call trousers and so many other things. So I had to go through, a sort of relearning of some terms and how you thumb the ride instead of getting a lift, for a vehicle and stuff like that. And for your semi, you call a semi. We call those articulators. So when you say a semi, first when you said a semi, I would understand it. Now, articulators or semis are called trucks in Ghana or in Britain. We call these trucks. And then for you, a truck is a pickup. It's all so confusing. It was so confusing to me, So that was another thing I had to work my way through to get fully, to get those terms right in my head. So that took a while. And of course, my kids picked up the the American accent very quickly. But I, after 40 some years of, of speaking English with a Ghanaian accent, it's very difficult to get rid of that. So whenever I say something, my kids will tell me, Daddy, we don't say it like that,
Okay, last question, wrap it up. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
What encouragement do you give our students who are incarcerated about their future? What advice, encouragement would you give our students?
I would like to tell them that whether they believe it or not, this country, with all its problems, is the best place to live in the world. It is the land of opportunity. I advise them, I want to encourage them to take full advantage of the opportunities in this country. There are very, very few countries in the world where you can get money from the government to go to school. There are very few countries in the world where you can go to a library and then they'll order you books for free and you don't have to pay anything for this. There are very few countries where you can go to a car dealership just because you have a job. You can get a car and pay in bits over 4 or 5 years. There's no way you can do that in so many other countries in the world. There are opportunities here, incredible opportunities. So advise them when they get out, open their eyes, take advantage of these opportunities, put their backs into it, work hard, and believe me, things will definitely work out for them.
Wow. Mr. King,